Hello everybody and welcome to Dryer Days Art Studio. I'm Catherine and I'm so happy to have you here. This was my first attempt ever at doing these alcohol ink resin coasters, and I have done quite a few since I made this video. This was definitely a learning experience, and so I hope I can share some tips with you guys that you find useful. And these are really, really fun to make. I'm kind of on a kick with making these right now. I actually prefer making them to huge paintings because they're very quick and easy and so much fun. So as you can see, I have all these alcohol inks up here. They are the Ranger or Adirondack. They have two different names I've heard people refer to them as, but you get them in packs of 3. And I've just sort of accumulated these colors over time. I do have a silver and a gold metallic there at the left side. And then I needed a white, and you have to use quite a lot of white. So I got this Pinata white brand alcohol ink because I could get it in that bigger container, and then I added it to my little needle nose container. This is resin pre-mixed, and I am using Stone Coat's countertop resin because I wanted to make sure that these were heat resistant, and their countertop resin is like the best that I have found for being heat resistant. So all these molds, the resin, the alcohol inks, everything, even that stir stick, I got on Amazon. So if you need any products, there is a link to my Amazon store in the description of this video that you can find all the products that I use. And I also try to list them individually in the description. Sometimes there's a lot of items though, and I miss some. So if you see something in the video that you want and I don't have it in the description, check out my store, because usually 9 times out of 10 it will be in my Amazon store. And I try to find stuff that's prime so that you can get it in a couple of days. And yeah, so there I just put in a little bit of resin. I didn't fill the whole thing. I just put a little bit in, made sure it got all the way into the edges of the mold, and then come in with the heat. And I will come in about 2 times. I do have a ventilator on there, and I do this in front of a big window that's all the natural light coming in, and I do have that window open while I'm working on these. I do this in sections here just to make sure I'm getting as many of those bubbles popped as possible. I do find the coasters tend to retain some bubbles, but I don't really mind because it kind of goes with the look of the Petri dishes, but I do try to get as many out as possible, and that's what I'm doing here. Now that I have hit both layers of the resin 2 to 3 times with my heat, I am selecting colors that I want to use. And I try to make each of these a little bit different just to see what results I get with doing things a little bit differently. So you want to add your alcohol ink color there and then come right in with your white. Now, because I'm using a different bottle for my white, a lot more white does seep out than just the little large drops that you get with the standard bottles. That's probably affecting my results a little bit, but I don't really mind. I like the results that I'm getting, so I'm okay with it. But the reason you want to use the white is because white is the heaviest body, and with the alcohol inks, because they're so light, they would just kind of sit here on the top, which is actually the bottom of the coaster. So when you add the white, it helps to push the pigment down to the bottom, which is actually the top of your coaster. So I had tried to do this without the white because I didn't have any white alcohol ink, and it actually took a couple weeks for this white alcohol ink to get to my house, and I was getting very impatient. So I did try doing it without any white alcohol ink. I tried using white acrylic ink and it did not work. So you definitely need the white. just want to point out here real quick, if you look to the right on that square mold that I have sitting next to my round coaster mold, you can see 2 white drops of the white alcohol ink that I had gotten on that and didn't even notice. And it ended up drying to it like that. So you will see in my next round of molds what happens when something like that happens. I came in with a little orange stick and just moved some of this around. I wanted to give it some effects and to see what this would do. I knew on that one I wanted some clear see-through parts. I didn't want it very opaque, and I wanted to see if that would give it any kind of effect or push the alcohol ink down at all. So here I am coming in with these. Now, if you're on my Instagram, you will have probably seen my time lapse of this. It's gotten a lot of views, a lot of comments. It looked really cool putting the ink in there. But as I mentioned before, there are those 2 white dots that I had not kind of noticed as I was doing all this. And so you'll see what happens. A little disappointing, but you know, we live and learn. And this was my first time doing this, so there you have it. I let these sit for a good day and a half before I decided to come in. I do notice with Stone Coat, I usually want to let them sit a little bit longer. With like Pro Marine, I can usually come in and pull them out at about 18 to 24 hours, but with Stone Coat, I like to let them sit a little bit longer. Okay, so here's that one. It's the moment of truth. Oh, there they are. The 2 white drops transferred. Kind of a bummer because it did look really cool. But I threw some cork on the back of it, and this is a coaster now on my nightside table. So I'm using that one. No big deal, but definitely just stay aware of, you know, where your alcohol ink is landing if you're moving quickly, because it will. Fortunately, it came off the mold. I'm happy it came off the mold, but now I have it on my coaster. So these came out just really cool. Really, really cool. And my daughter was so excited about these and said, I want to give one to my teacher. So we put some cork on the back, and her teacher and her bus driver and my other daughter's preschool teacher will be getting these as gifts. They make great holiday gifts, and they're creative and just stunning. So now I'm just showing here that they will have kind of like a little bit of an edge on them from where the resin has settled, and it can be kind of sharp. So depending on how deep it is, I will come in and trim it up here. I found these tools they're in the floral department. I've seen them at Michael's. I will again try to link some stuff up for you guys if you want a pair of these. And then my little sandpaper that is sitting there, I will just take that and kind of smooth down these edges a little bit. If they are small enough, these ledges, you can just come in with that sandpaper and you don't even need the edgers there, but it just depends on what you're working with. This cork on Amazon, and it has adhesive on the back side of it, and you can also find rolls of it at like Hobby Lobby. I saw some. I'm sure they have some at Michael's, although I haven't seen it. I'm sure they do. You can see here, this is the adhesive side that we want to stick to that resin mold, and so I just come in and essentially trace around the size of it. I have now made the size of the cork smaller so that it's not going all the way to the edge of the coaster, because I feel like it doesn't look very finished sometimes. So I do make them a little bit smaller than the size of the mold now. I also have started using like scrapbook paper. That's a nice color, and putting it on the back of the coaster first, because I was noticing you could see some of the adhesive from the cork through the mold, and I didn't really appreciate that. So I am sort of lining the back of the mold now first with that paper, and then adhering the cork to the paper. It just kind of gives it more of a polished look. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was my first time. Oh, there's that one that was kind of transparent. I just love how that came out where I did the little swirls through it. Just beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Come check me out over on Instagram at Dryer Days. And until next time, keep on pouring.